Before YouTube sketches or viral catchphrases, The Fast Show was doing it all. Faster, funnier, and brilliantly British. It didn't just make people laugh, it shaped the way a whole generation spoke, dressed, and delivered jokes. Fact 1.
Are you interested in French cinema at all, Ted?
The Fast Show was built on one simple rule. If a sketch wasn't funny in under 20 seconds, it didn't belong. Paul Whitehouse and Charlie Higson wanted every joke to hit before the audience had time to think. The rhythm was revolutionary. Quick punchlines, recurring faces, and no time wasted on setup. What looked chaotic was actually meticulously timed. Every pause, gesture, and look was rehearsed to the second. The editing room became their battlefield, cutting seconds off scenes until they felt like laughter itself. This precision gave birth to a new language of comedy, short, strange, and endlessly repeatable. Even now, sketch writers use The Fast Show as a masterclass in economy. The phrase "fast show funny" became shorthand among comedians for lightning-quick perfection. The irony was that making something look effortless took the most effort of all.
One eyebrow on the other. Anyway, he's in the pub one day, and this geezer comes up to him. Luigi, his name was. Welsh bloke.
Fact 2.
That is a lovely suit, isn't it, sir? Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, suit you, sir. Suit like that. Oh!
Most of the show's oddball characters came straight from nights spent in smoky pubs around London. Whitehouse and Higson kept notebooks full of overheard conversations, scribbling phrases like "suits you, sir," and "this week I have been mostly eating" on beer mats. They'd return to the writer's room the next day and build entire sketches around those snippets. "We were surrounded by material," Whitehouse once said. "We just had to listen." The result was a gallery of exaggerated reality, people you half recognise from your own life. The pub setting gave the show its warmth, a sense of messy, British familiarity. It wasn't mocking ordinary people, it was celebrating their quirks. Even the smallest catchphrases had roots in something true, which made them feel timeless. Behind every bizarre character stood someone the creators once drank with, laughed at, or loved.
You know mini Kievs? Yeah. On the menu, would they be under starters or main courses?
Fact 3.
Topped off with the most gorgeous guy, Keanu Reeves' head, limpid Christie body, and I come out completely unprepared, never men alive.
Each recurring character had an instantly recognisable look, and costume designer Dawn Green knew that clothes were half the joke. The bright jackets, shiny suits, and mismatched patterns were designed to make people laugh before a single line was spoken. She called her style visual punchlines. Every hat, scarf, and wig had its own drawer in the costume department, labelled with the same reverence you'd expect for Shakespearean props. Charlie Higson's wardrobe as Swiss Toni was particularly extensive. 10 identical silver suits and 3 wigs, all slightly different shades of midlife crisis. The team treated these absurd outfits with genuine artistry. The detail helped each sketch hit immediately. The audience recognized the character before the actor even opened his mouth. It was comedy painted in broad colour but with a craftsman's care.
Neither my sister nor I eat vegetables.
We like them,
But we don't eat them.
Fact 4.
Good morning, sir. How are we today, sir? Fine. You? Radiant, sir. Radiant.
One of the most iconic catchphrases in British TV, history came about by mistake. During an early rehearsal, Paul Whitehouse improvised the line, "Suit you, sir," while adjusting a fake tape measure. The crew burst out laughing, so he repeated it with more and more exaggerated charm until it became the sketch's heartbeat. The line had no meaning, but the delivery was irresistible. Soon it escaped television entirely, shouted in pubs, copied in offices, even printed on t-shirts. Whitehouse later said he was both flattered and slightly horrified that strangers still whispered it to him decades later. The sketch worked because it played with discomfort, polite voices saying the rudest things possible. It became a national obsession, proving that sometimes a throwaway moment becomes cultural lightning.
Have you really thought this one through, sir?
I think so.
Very well, sir. Suits you, sir.
Fact 5.
G'day, Carl.
Understand you're a sheep farmer.
That's right, mate.
And how far have you travelled today?
About 1,400 miles.
Jeez, that's a long poke.
Sure is, mate.
Appearing on The Fast Show was both an honour and a challenge. Guest actors from serious dramas were often invited to join, only to discover the pace was brutal. The cast moved like clockwork, changing costumes, resetting sets, and jumping into new roles in seconds. One actor reportedly missed his cue because he was still laughing from the previous sketch. Caroline Aherne, known for her dry wit, once said that performing on the Fast Show felt like trying to run through a revolving door with a pint of Guinness. The energy was infectious but exhausting. The production days were long, the transitions manic, yet the atmosphere was joyous. Everyone involved felt part of something revolutionary, comedy that didn't wait for permission.
Excuse me, Mark. Says, how long was I stood there?
40 minutes.
You know it was 45 minutes, Roy. What are you trying to show me up for in front of your mother?
Fact 6.
Hi, Davey.
Hi, Carl.
Carl Hooper, what do you got for us, mate?
Well, mate, I've got this amazing magic pen.
The Fast Show didn't plan its catchphrases, they escaped accidentally. Lines like nice and brilliant weren't designed to become national obsessions, they simply stuck because of repetition and rhythm. Paul Whitehouse said the team never discussed slogans in meetings, they just followed what made the crew laugh most on set. Once a phrase got a big reaction, they'd bring it back in a slightly different form the next week. It became a ritual of recognition. The audience waited for the line, then exploded when it arrived. The writers called it predictable surprise, the secret formula behind the show's success. In pubs across Britain, people began shouting those lines as greetings, as if they were part of an underground comedy code. Even today, fans still quote them without realizing where they came from. That kind of spontaneous cultural takeover can't be manufactured. It happens when comedy feels alive enough to belong to everyone.
Been responsible for so much of what we call civilization.
Socrates?
Fact 7.
I could equally have said a queen and...
Not really, sir, no.
Each recurring face in the Fast Show had a hidden story that the audience never saw. Charlie Higson and Paul Whitehouse wrote full biographies for characters like Ted and Ralph, Swiss Toni and Rowley Burkin, QC. They wanted every laugh to come from personality, not just repetition. Rowley, for example, wasn't just a drunk storyteller. In their notes, he was a retired barrister who'd lost everything to nostalgia. That depth gave the sketches an odd melancholy that fans still feel. Some backstories were ridiculous. Swiss Toni's silver hair was supposedly dyed weekly by a salon called The Blowjob, but the actors treated them like truth, performing each role as if they were real people who happened to live in absurdity. That secret groundwork made the jokes resonate longer. Beneath the speed, there was soul, which is why viewers remember not only the punchlines, but the faces that delivered them.
I didn't remember it, but her husband had been entombed in ice like this.
Fact 8.
Highlights from the match at Wembley between England and Romania.
Lovely.
During one chaotic day of filming, a smoke machine overheated during a weather report sketch and filled the entire studio with fog. The cast thought it was part of the gag until alarms went off and everyone had to evacuate. Paul Whitehouse refused to leave until they'd finished the take, shouting, "This is the most realistic forecast we've ever done." The crew later turned the disaster into a running joke, adding extra fog to scenes for weeks afterward. That sense of playfulness defined the production. Accidents became material. The same week, a prop car door fell off mid-scene, and rather than cut, Higson ad-libbed a line about continental craftsmanship, keeping the take. The show thrived on imperfection. Its best moments weren't the polished ones, but the ones where things went gloriously wrong, capturing the chaos of live humour in a pre-recorded world. Fact 9.
And apparently, it brought tears to Kate Winslet's eyes.
The Ted and Ralph sketches began as simple class satire, a posh landowner and his loyal gamekeeper fumbling through awkward friendship. But when Charlie Higson played Ralph with gentle sincerity, the tone shifted. Their exchanges hinted at loneliness, affection, and unspoken love, turning slapstick into something strangely moving. Viewers wrote letters saying they cried and laughed at the same time. The cast were surprised. They'd never intended a serious storyline, but they leaned into it. The humour came from restraint, from everything left unsaid. Ralph's trembling attempts at conversation and Ted's quiet tolerance captured British emotional repression perfectly. It was proof that the Fast Show wasn't just loud sketches and silly wigs. It understood humanity underneath the absurdity. That balance of heart and humour is why those scenes still hold up long after other catchphrases faded away.
Down the greasy pole of my depravity! Ah, bring the chickens!
Fact 10.
I expect you're in and out of your trousers all day long, aren't you, sir?
Behind the chaos, the cast and crew form one of the closest teams in British television. Many had worked together on earlier projects and shared the same instinctive timing. Between takes, they played pranks, swapped wigs, and made up songs about each other's characters. Filming days were exhausting, but filled with laughter that didn't stop when the cameras did. Regular guest stars became extended family. Everyone from Mark Williams to Simon Day was part of the same comic tribe. There was no hierarchy, just mutual respect and relentless silliness. New performers were welcomed with open arms and usually left covered in fake snow, shaving foam, or glitter. The show's easy chemistry on screen came from real camaraderie off it. They were a group of mates who somehow turned inside jokes into national entertainment. That friendship gave the madness warmth, making the Fast Show feel like a party the audience was invited to every week.
Unzip the door, put up your pole and slip into the old bag.
Fact 11.
In ill-fitting, multicoloured, vaguely ethnic clothing.
One of the strangest recurring sketches featured a man mumbling through stories that made no sense. Rowley Burkin, QC. At first, audiences didn't know what to make of him. Viewers would lean closer to catch the words, only to realise that half of them were pure gibberish. But that was the genius. Paul Whitehouse built the performance around rhythm rather than meaning, turning nonsense into poetry. Over time, people started to hear emotions inside the chaos. Sadness, pride, regret. When Rowley finally muttered the line, "I was very, very drunk," it landed like a punchline and a confession at once. Fans sent letters describing him as tragic, hilarious, and heartbreakingly human. The writers admitted they'd stumbled into something deeper than they expected, a portrait of British nostalgia disguised as comedy. The sketch became a cult classic, proving that even in a show built on speed, stillness, and mystery could steal the spotlight.
School. My father taught me at home. I did my A-levels when I was 11.
Fact 12.
Quality champagne on ice, satin sheets on the bed, maybe a poem on the pillow.
The word brilliant became a national reflex thanks to the Fast Show. Every teenager in Britain seemed to shout it at random, copying Mark Williams' overexcited delivery. Shops sold mugs, t-shirts, and even car stickers with the catchphrase printed in bold. The character behind it, a man who found everything amazing, no matter how mundane, captured the spirit of the 90s perfectly. He celebrated mediocrity with absolute joy, and the public adored it. Williams once said he could tell when the show had aired because strangers would chase him down the street yelling "brilliant" in his face. It got so frequent that he stopped visiting pubs on Friday nights. The craze was absurd, but also a sign of how deeply the show connected with ordinary people. Everyone knew someone who thought every little thing was brilliant, and that recognition made it timeless.
I'm playing gin rummy with my wife Marie in a caravan on set. I saw Red and broke both his thumbs.
Fact 13.
Ask yourself if, in fact, scent isn't just a complete waste of time. No offence.
Though the Fast Show is often remembered for its male ensemble, its female cast brought balance and bite to the chaos. Arabella Weir, Carolina Hearn, and later Rhys Thomas's collaborators added edge, warmth, and razor-sharp timing. Arabella's "Does my bum look big in this?" character became a cultural touchstone, capturing the insecurities of a generation with one simple line. Carolina Hearn's dry delivery gave even the most absurd sketches emotional weight. Off screen, the women shaped the show's tone. They kept the humour grounded when it risked drifting into pure silliness. They also inspired new female-led sketch comedies in Britain that followed its example. Whitehouse always credited them as the emotional compass of the series. Without their wit and nuance, the show would have been all noise and no heartbeat. Together, they made sure the Fast Show wasn't just fast, it was fearless.
Do a dear Timmy tomato pattern, here dear Timmy tomato pattern.
Fact 14.
From the addictive world of pornography, prostitution and perverse sex games.
Amid the absurdity, one episode shocked viewers by ending on a genuinely emotional note. The final Rowley Burkin sketch, where he reflects on a lost love, left millions unexpectedly moved. Whitehouse performed it almost silently, his eyes filling with tears as he slurred his way through memories. There was no laugh track, no punchline, just raw honesty disguised as drunken rambling. Fans said it felt like saying goodbye to an old friend. The sketch proved that comedy didn't need to be cruel or loud to be powerful. It was the show's quiet masterpiece, the moment when absurdity turned into art. Critics still cite it as one of the boldest choices in British sketch history. In a show built on noise and nonsense, that final whisper echoed the loudest.
Brilliant cook, but he couldn't reach a stove.
Fact 15.
This season, I'll be mostly wearing no pants.
Even decades after its finale, The Fast Show continues to influence comedy across the world. Its rhythm, its brevity, and its chaotic honesty shaped everything from internet sketches to TikTok humour. Modern creators still study its structure, the way it made characters iconic in seconds. Paul Whitehouse and Charlie Higson have reunited for live shows and specials, and every time they step back into those ridiculous roles, audiences react like they've seen old friends again. Fans pass the catchphrases down to their kids, keeping the spirit alive. The show proved that great comedy doesn't age, it just gets faster. Its mix of heart, nonsense, and precision remains unmatched. The Fast Show wasn't just a title, it was a philosophy. Get in, make them laugh, and leave before they stop smiling. That's why, all these years later, it's still, well, brilliant.